Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maja Pika, I'm your local stream witch on twitch.tv, and today we're talking everything about grinding. So this is gonna be a very beginner kind of a guide, so if you are already very knowledgeable about Black Desert Online and about grinding in Black Desert Online, this video is probably not for you. So let's hop right into the first thing. And the first thing is that you need to have a grind rotation and a grind spot. There are great websites out there on the internet which will provide you the best grind spot for your AP, DP level, and which will give you the best trash per hour and silver per hour, as well as the best drops for accessories. You can input your AP and DP stats over there and see which one is gonna be best for you. I really won't recommend you to choose a monster zone that is higher in AP and DP than you are currently at, because this is gonna just take you a longer time to kill those mobs, and it's gonna be very inefficient. You're gonna be there for ages just to kill one mob, and then you're gonna go over to the next mob, where you could be actually a lot more efficient at a grind zone that is gonna be there at your level. Because even though if the trash is much more worth at the other zone, if you're not gonna clear it well during an hour, then you're gonna make much more money on the other zone. Sometimes that could also mean that you are gonna be much more efficient on a zone that is lower in your than your AP and DP stats. So you can not overclear, but you can clear a grind rotations quite quickly, and you're gonna make a lot of silver doing that, because you're gonna be very efficient and clearing those monster mobs fast. After you've decided on which grind zone or which monster zone you actually want to grind in, I can also recommend you to look into grind rotations, because each spot has their own grind rotations. Grind rotations are just some small little circles or large circles of mobs that you can actually kill in a very nice movement or very nice rotation without having to think about where to go next and which mob you're gonna have to kill, and if they are gonna respawn by the time that you're back at the first mob. These guides and these grind rotations can give you also a lot of other very useful information. Because, for example, at Jadelight Forest and at Star's End, you actually do not attack the monsters by themselves, but you're actually gonna hit small tokens and small pillars standing around in the world. For example, in Jadelight Forest, the Jedi are huddling around some tokens, and you need to hit those tokens first and foremost to get a knockdown effect for your enemies, to be able to slay them very conveniently and very efficiently while they're laying down on the floor and having a nice little nap, while you can slay them in their sleep. As well as for Star's End, sometimes you have to get different mobs to one specific pillar to be able to clear the zone or the rotation efficiently. Hit the pillar and let them lie down on the floor, and continue on with your day by slaying them and going to the next pillar and getting those monsters to join in on that pillar as well. This is just gonna make life a lot more easier if you want to know all of that information that is actually concerning about the grind spot, and it's gonna make life a lot easier and your grind rotations a lot more efficient. Also, sometimes the grind rotations are very clearly laid out for you, like you can clearly see a rotation forming in a grind zone, and sometimes it's just very difficult to see because maybe one of the mobs is behind a bush and you cannot see them very clearly. And you do not have to worry about the monsters respawning by the time that you are at the first mob again, because the mobs will already be there, respawned and ready to be slain again. And so you can just continue on for hours without having to think a lot about grinding, or like about the main things to grind, the mobs. You don't have to think about the mobs quite a lot. Next up, we have the villa and the tent buffs. So what is a villa buff and what is a tent buff? The tent is something that you can get either free to play by playing the game and completing a questline. That is gonna be the Old Moon tent. This one only has a shop, and you cannot access the villa invitation by far or like remotely from the villa. Then there is the tent from the Pearl shop that is gonna cost you around 40 euros, so I would really only suggest you to get that tent if you know you like the game and you're gonna be playing the game for a lot of hours, and for just making life easier because you know you like the game and you're gonna play it a lot, you're gonna spoil yourself and get that tent. By getting the tent, you can remotely access the villa scroll and, well, the villa invitation. And what you want to get from the villa invitation is the body enhancement. The body enhancement gives you an AP and a DP plus 10. They up your max HP by 200, give you a all resistance, ignore all resistance and all resistance buff by 10%. And these invitations are valid for 7 days. So the villa invitation is only valid for 7 days, which means each and every 7th day you have to go back to one of those villas, which are only located in Valencia. So I personally have an alt class parked at some random villa in Valencia, which will buy the villa scroll, the villa invitation for 10 million silver every 7 weeks and transfer it over to my main class via one of the mates that I have in my game. You can choose how long you want your body enhancement to actually last, so you can get it for 60 up to 300 minutes. Those body enhancements will also cost you some silver, but it's honestly very efficient and you're gonna be able to clear the mobs a lot quicker with that body enhancement, with that 10 AP and 10 DP plus. That is gonna make a difference. That is actually really making a difference, as well as the maximum HP. You can also get a kind of a body enhancement from the tent shop, which is gonna be available in the pay to win Pearl Shop tent and in the free Old Moon tent. The tent shop gives you HP and MP potions that you can pop each and every second, because you are gonna need those while you're grinding, and if you don't have the infinity MP and HP potions like I do, this is something nice so that you don't have to run back to one of the shops each and every few seconds to get MP and HP buffs, potions. Then you can get the almost body enhancement buff also from the tent. This is gonna cost you 600,000 silver, but it's honestly very cheap, and it does give you an AP plus 10 and a skill and combat EXP plus 10%, which is very nice if you want to actually level your character. But the body enhancement from the villa invitations, it just is a lot better than the tent buff. Another thing that you can get from the tent buff is the tent item drop rate of 50%. This is honestly a big investment because it is gonna only last you for an hour, as well as the tent buff for the body enhancement, and it's gonna cost you 50 million silver if you get the maximum of the 50% drop rate chance. But this is honestly very worth it, because you're gonna add to the maximum of, well, you're gonna add to your percentage of item drop rates, which you can access from your personal information. The maximum that you can get is 300%, or like that's the maximum that the game gives you. If you're gonna surpass it, that's not really gonna make a difference or all too much of a difference. So getting that 300% of the drop rate is gonna be something that you're gonna look into, and the 50% from the tent buff is actually gonna get you very close to those 300% of the item drop rate chance. So if you want to invest it, or if you don't want to invest it, that is honestly very much up to you. It is quite a big investment money wise. What is also really nice from the tent shop, and honestly this is something that you can only get from the Pearl Shop tent, is the blacksmith that is included with your tent. And that also means you do not have to run back to the local blacksmiths that are scattered around the world to repair your item. So if you have an item with a low durability because you tried enhancing it, fail, you got 10 stats reacted from the item, like from your sword or stuff like that, and you have to repair it every few seconds, then the tent is honestly very nice, because you can just pop it up and repair your items there and then. Then let's go over the food buffs. There is different kinds of food buffs, but there is also a food rotation. A food rotation is something very difficult to get into as a beginner, because you have to get them up and running and continuously run them for your character so that they do not run out, and you have to restart them, because after eating a food you have a 30-minute cooldown until you can eat the next food item. And if you do not have a fairy with an automatic care system that is gonna pop those items for free every time it runs out, then it's honestly something really difficult to keep up with. And for that we have the cron meals that Black Desert Online has given us to make life easier. There's 3 different kinds of cron meals. We have the seafood cron meal, the simple cron meal, and the exquisite cron meal. The seafood cron meal is something that you're gonna look into when you are doing life skilling or if you're trading your imperial crates, and the other 2 are gonna be the simple cron meal and the exquisite cron meal for PvE grinding. Honestly, the best option for you in the beginning phases is gonna be the simple cron meal, because this one is gonna give you an AP plus 30. It also gives you a skill EXP and a combat EXP of 20%, which is gonna mean that you're gonna level your character a lot quicker. So if you're beginning to play the game, you also want to look into getting your character up to level 61 to get all of the skills unlocked, as well as attack and movement speed plus 2, and generally all of the buffs that you need for grinding there in most zones. So this is one that is gonna be very good for the main grind zones, and if you're not reaching soft cap. If you're reaching soft cap, it could be that sometimes it's better for you to get the exquisite cron meal instead of the simple cron meal. That doesn't give you as much of an AP upwards, but it does give you critical damage and back attack damage, which you're gonna look into for getting if you are gonna go in higher end spots like into Hex Sanctuary, Elvia Orcs, the Jedis from Jadelight Forest, Gyfing Underground, because those monsters are a lot better and easier taken down with back attacks and with critical damage. This might also be a better choice for you because it does give you a better buff for Asha servers, so that is our PvP servers, and if you're gonna get attacked and you want to defend yourself against the people, the 30 AP for monsters is not gonna do anything against humans and against for PvP. So the exquisite cron meal is also used while doing PvP stuff. So in Asha servers, or if you're into PvP, the exquisite one is the go-to for you. Then we have Draughts, and Draughts are gonna be something that you're also gonna look into, and that is running alongside your food buffs. There is something called elixir rotations, and elixir rotations are very specific to get all of the needs that you want to get into, but this is also rotation, which means you're gonna also have to pop every single drop every few seconds or every few minutes. Maybe not every few minutes, but like every 20 minutes you have to get a draw running again and see that not one of the other ones is gonna run out while you are grinding. If you do not have the fairy with the with the automatic care system, then this is going to be something very difficult for you to get into as well, and it does cost a lot of silver if you want to get into very high-end elixirs. The drops that you are gonna get are gonna replace the elixirs, as well as food buffs like cron meals are gonna eliminate the other meal food rotations. So keep in mind, if you're gonna use elixirs or if you're gonna elixir rotations and food rotations, do not use the simple cron meals or draughts, because these will be used instead of the other rotations. So they're gonna override your rotations, and you're gonna have to wait out the 120 minutes for the food buff, for the cron buff, and the 20 minutes for the draughts to get the elixir and the food rotations going again. So this is a big hassle, so be sure to not pop a draught or a simple cron meal or exquisite cron meal while you're doing food or elixir rotations. For the lower to mid grind zones, the beast draw is honestly the best option for you. It's also not very expensive, so you can get it from the central market, and draughts are generally something that are given out a lot of times for free while just enjoying the game. So that one is gonna give you an AP against monsters plus 15, as well as the damage from monsters is gonna be reduced by 10%, but it does also give you a combat EXP and a skill EXP plus 20%. So again, good for if you want to level your character. If you are hitting the soft cat in that specific grind zone that you're currently in at, you might be looking into the Giant's Draught, which will give you a all AP plus 10 instead of the 15, but it does give you an extra all special attack damage plus 10%, which is gonna be used for critical hit damage, down damage, up damage, back attack damage, all of the different kinds of damages that Black Desert Online is gonna offer you while playing the game. So it's not gonna be like the frontal damage, like the normal damage, but critical hit, back attack, like I already said. if you're mid to end game, or you may be overgeared by quite a bit, but you are already in a mid to end game zone. If you are overgeared for Jadelight Forest, but you still want to grind at Jadelight Forest, but you're hitting the soft cap there, you might want to look into the Frenzy Draughts and the Frenzy Draughts of Corruption. But be careful, this does give you a minus 15 DP. So that means you are gonna be a lot more squishier. So if you are a class that is already very squishy and you're going into a zone and popping that Frenzy Draught, this is gonna be depleting your DP by 15%, as well as it doesn't give you any crit damage. And the crit damage is honestly something that you will get with the other two drafts as well. And you wanna use another perfume instead to get that critical hit damage. If you're not gonna hit the 5 critical hit damage, you're not gonna clear the rotation very quickly, and it's gonna take you a lot more time again to clear anything. But it does give you also a AP plus 30 against monsters, and the corrupted one does give you a plus 35 AP. So that is honestly something very nice. So if you are overgeared for your zone, but you need the hidden AP, then the Frenzy Draughts for mid to end game are great. Otherwise, they're very expensive. Use the other two instead. Also, just to let you know, there is different kinds of draws, and the normal Frenzy Draw will actually expire or be gone if you're dying while you're grinding. But honestly, you do not want to die while you're grinding, and you're actually gonna search for a grind zone where you're not gonna die, and you're gonna pay attention to not dying while playing Black Desert Online, so you do not have to worry about the Frenzy Draws disappearing into thin air. It has happened to me. I have died a lot of times, and it is very, very annoying. There does exist Frenzy Draws that do not, this Frenzy Draught of Immortality, which does not disappear after you die. But those are honestly a lot more expensive, and if you pay attention while you're grinding, or just a little bit of attention, and you're not going to go into a grind zone that is quite higher than your current AP and DP, and you're not in the end zones of the game, then you do not have to get the Immortality one, because you are honestly not gonna die as often as the other one is gonna cost you in silver. The drafts honestly only run for 15 minutes, but there does exist a draft that is gonna run for 60 minutes, and you're gonna make that one by yourself with the magical elixir that you're gonna get for free in the game. So honestly, get that and do not invest into the 60-minute one, because the 60-minute one is very expensive. Then let's hop into the perfumes. The perfumes are gonna run alongside with your food buffs, alongside with your drafts, and this is gonna be something very nice as well. Perfumes you're actually only gonna use near to the end game, or from the mid to end game grind zones. At high-end spot where it's taking you longer to kill the mobs, you're gonna look into the Perfume of Courage. But do not be as stupid as me and use the Perfume of Courage at mid to low-end zones like I did, because this is a very, very, very expensive perfume, and you're honestly gonna just miss silver per hour just by popping this one in those zones. This one is gonna give you an AP plus 20, as well as a max HP and a movement and casting speed up, but you really do only use these at the high-end spots in the game. You are able to reach the AP soft caps and the HP maximum caps without using those perfumes either. Then we have the Spirit Perfume, and if we are gonna pop a Frenzy Draught, like we said earlier, while you're in the mid to end zone grind of the game, you're gonna miss the critical hit damage, right? You're gonna miss the plus 3 and plus 5 critical damage from the Frenzy Draw. To evade that problem, we're gonna use the Spirit Perfume Elixir. And I know this is having elixir in its name, but honestly, do not be confused. It is a perfume, and it will run alongside your elixirs if you are using elixirs instead of your drafts. Honestly, this one is also recommended for higher end spots where it's gonna take you longer to kill those enemies, and if you are using the Frenzy Draft to get up to the current critical hit that you need. This Spirit Elixir Perfume also does give you a critical hit rate plus 5, so that's the main thing that we're focusing on. And if you do not have the Infinity MP potion, this is very nice because you can get free MP per hit. So you recover free MP from every hit that you do on a monster. That's why some people also use this one in lower end spot, because they do not have the MP potion, and it's nice because there is the automatic regeneration without having to have the potions, the MP potions in your inventory and you have just the perfume instead. Next up, let's go to the church buffs. A church buff is always a good thing to have running while you're grinding. These run up to 300 minutes as well, from 120 minutes up to 300 minutes, but just get the 300-minute ones. Church NPCs are located in every major city, and if you're gonna click on the search bar, you're gonna automatically be shown your way to the nearest church. And you can get 3 different kinds of buffs at that church. Get all 3 of them. Get all 3 of them for all 300 minutes. There is the Elion's Blessing for attack, which gives you an AP plus 8 and accuracy plus 8. The protection one, which does give you a damage reduction plus 8 and a maximum HP plus 150. This seems like not quite a lot, but honestly, it will accumulate to a lot. And then we have the experience one, which will give you a combat EXP of 15%. So accumulating all of these things, the foods, the draughts, the perfumes, and the church buffs, you're gonna be nicely equipped. And the tent buffs. Or the villa buffs. You're gonna be nicely equipped, you're gonna level your character in a few minutes, and you also have all of the buffs running like AP and accuracy and movement speed and critical hit and stuff like that. Then we have the Alchemy Stones. The best in slot for an Alchemy Stone is the Wel's Heart, and the Wel's Heart you can upgrade 2 times. The Wel's Heart does give you an plus a free AP on the sheet, so this is not hidden AP, this will actually give you free AP on the dot. So if you are at like 300 AP currently and you equipped the Wel's Heart, it's gonna pop you up to 303 AP in your inventory. You have to replenish and refill the Wel's Heart every time because you're using it and it's gonna be depleted, but this one you can fill up again. You can refill this one. The Wel's Heart, although, is very difficult to get, and if you are gonna be one of the lucky few ones that will get it from the weekly boss that is gonna drop it, it's Vel, and he's out on the sea, and it's honestly a very big hassle to get that one, or you're gonna get it from the central market, which is gonna be very expensive. You're gonna use other destruction stones or other alchemy stones in the meantime until you have your gear up to a certain level and you can pre-order the Wel's Heart, or you're gonna get the Wel's Heart in a few months, because honestly it's gonna take you months or years to drop the Wel's Heart from Vel himself and get other alchemy stones into your slot until that point. I can recommend you for beginner players and for people who need a AP plus AP, 3 different kinds of base alchemy stones that you can drop in Camarilla. There is the accuracy one, there is the life one, and then there is the destruction one. You're gonna look at the destruction one, and if you are grinding in Camarilla at certain zones, you can get this one for free, so you do not even have to buy it off the central market. But this does give you a AP plus 8, which is very nice, and it's gonna help you out a lot. Even if it's a hidden AP, it's still gonna help you grind quicker. They're quite cheap as well and easy to get as well, unlike the Wel's Heart. But once they are used up, you cannot refill them like the Wel's Heart. But what you want to do is grind those depleted ones. They're gonna not be able to use anymore, but you're not gonna throw them out. You're gonna grind them up from using the L on your keyboard. You're gonna pop the window up and you're gonna click grind, and you're gonna grind all of these stones up of the destruction stones. Even if you have life stones while you're doing life skilling, you're gonna grind them up because you're gonna get spirit powder, mystical spirit powder, and that is the thing that you're gonna need to refill the Wel's Heart. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Also, if you upgrade the Wel's Heart 2 times, this does also give you a DP stat that is honestly also on the sheet. So if you are liking on DP and you want to know how you can hit the next bracket for the DP, upgrading your Wel's Heart might be the thing that solves your problem. Then we have the crystal setup, and the crystal setup is something that has gotten much more important with the past few years and past days. So they are just much more important these days. There's different kinds of setup for each class with movement speed, attack speed, critical damage, down damage, up damage, back damage. But honestly, I would really recommend you to join one of your class discords that are officially out there on the Discord community and ask the people what you can equip for your specific class, because there's so many different kinds of crystal setup that give you different kinds of stats that I really recommend you to look into it with people that actually know your specific class. A crystal setup can be very expensive or very cheap, which means if you want to invest a lot of silver into your crystals and you will get the best stats out of your crystals, then get a crystal set that is worth billions of silver. But for beginners, I would really recommend you to not get that, because crystals will be destroyed if you die. There is always a small percentage of a crystal going up in flames, going poof, while you're grinding and if you're dying. And that is honestly something very annoying if you have a crystal that is equipped in your crystal set that is worth 400 million silver and it's taking you 3-4 hours to just get that one crystal back. And a crystal setup is quite a huge setup, so it's gonna cost you a ton of money. So as a beginner, get something that is more comfortable for you. Also, if you are a relaxed player and you just want to chill around and not have to think and worry about if you're gonna get killed from the mobs and you're gonna destroy a crystal, get a cheaper setup. Next up, we have horse buffs, and this is one of the last things that we're gonna talk about. So horse buffs do also exist in Black Desert Online, and these will be used with horse gear. So there's the Crudaldo sets, and there's 3 different kinds of sets. There's the wind set, the earth set, and the sea set. Each of these sets give you different kinds of stats. The earth set gives you a damage reduction +3 and evasion +3. The wind set gives you an AP +5 for your whole group. If you're in a party, this will apply to everybody in your party. And the sea will get you a +100 for HP and stamina. For endgame, you are gonna look into the sea set, but for the base ones, for just getting a not cheat AP, but hidden AP, the one that is most used is the wind set. There is 3 different kinds of sets. Well, 3 different kinds of set. How many of these items that you have equipped on your horse is actually gonna make a set effect? So it's the 3 set effect, the 4 set effect, and the 5 set effect. So you're gonna look into getting all of the 5 set effects. You can easily pre-order the Crogdaldo sets on the central market in Black Desert Online. If you do not want to do it yourself, you can also look into doing it yourself. And they're easily sold to you, especially the one from the wind set. That's easily sold to you, and you can get a free set in quite a short amount of time. The next thing that we have is the NPC buffs. The NPCs in the world can also give you buffs that run for free 30 minutes. So if you want to get those, that is honestly a question that is up to you. If you want to prioritize your first 30 minutes of your grind, I can recommend you to go there with your main class, accept get the buff from the NPC, switch over to your tagged character, run back to the grind spot that you actually want to grind at, and then switch over, and you're gonna make the first 30 minutes a little bit more efficient than otherwise. But this is really up to you. You're gonna need to invest a lot of energy, not a lot of energy, but you need to invest some of your character's energy to get the amity up to actually get the buffs or be able to get the buffs. And then to activate the buffs, you're also gonna need energy to activate them. For PvP, for Node Wars, a lot of people will huddle around this certain character in Avelia. She does give you a maximum HP, and I think there's also one that gives you critical hit damage and one that gives you a maximum HP up. So if you want to get them, it's really up to you, and prioritize your 30 minutes. And then for the last thing, we have house buffs. So you can get houses in Black Desert Online, and sometimes if you enter random houses, because you can do that, you will see that it looks like absolutely chaos. But that is because certain items in the game do give you certain buffs and effects for a few hours or a few minutes. And that's why everybody has their houses full of certain things. If you're a beginner player, the only thing that you're gonna look into is the Ancient Camel statue, because this one does give you a +9 AP for the next 3 hours. And with that, we've wrapped everything up now, and I really hope this one was very helpful for everybody who is starting out in Black Desert Online. I know I really enjoyed watching tutorials or beginner types of videos for Black Desert Online, because this was my first MMORPG and I was so unknowledgeable, and I would really have loved to get all of this info as well while playing Black Desert Online or while starting out. There's a lot of great people out there now on YouTube who give great guides, and I can really recommend you to check them out. I can really recommend you to check out Evildoers Harm. Then there is Anders, Not the Worst, Blue Squadron. All of these people give out such a good guide as well, and they're honestly my idols. And as well as Quenya, there's so many people out there. And so if you are looking for other really great guys on YouTube to give you help and help you out with Black Desert Online, I can really recommend you to check these people out as well. But if you did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe, and maybe even comment down below. And if you want to have a chat with me, I'm live on Twitch as well, 4 times a week or 5 times a week, depending on how my week is going, because I am a full working human being. So if you want to have a lovely chat and join our community, then I would really appreciate it. And I shall see you over there. Bye!